Good morning, everybody. And obviously, and welcome, of course, to this, the launch of Greenify. I'm Finbarr, as it says on the slide. I'm CEO of Bantry Credit Union. But more importantly, this morning, I'm speaking on behalf of the 8 credit unions who have come together over the past year and today see coming to fruition this new loan product and a new brand. And more particularly, I'm speaking on behalf of the Greenify working group. So there's been 5 of us really, I suppose, burrowing away for the last year or so, and they're named up there in front of you. So Brendan Heenan is our project manager. He was project manager with the Cultivate Farm Loan product and brand, and he's also project manager with Greenify. Colin Irwin in Mitchelstown Credit Union, CEO of Mitchelstown Credit Union. Dennis Daly, CEO of Tullamore Credit Union, and Mick Culkeen, who was formerly CEO of St. Jarlath's Credit Union in Tuam, though he doesn't know how to retire, so he's now business development, having moved on from being CEO. So that's very much the working group, and over the past 12 months, we have worked to bring this project to fruition, and we're very happy today to see it go live. Now, before I get into the what of the of Greenify, I'd like to mention a little bit about the why. So, and somebody else is controlling the slides because of the difficulty we're having. So again, we'll apologize for the gremlins. And the first thing I should say is that slide is not a mistake. It's not an error. It's not a slide from from Cultivate Farm Loan product at all. It's deliberate. So this is the only story I'm going to tell in my 10 minutes, and it's around this slide. As I said, it's the only story I'm going to say. Back in the mid-90s, I lived in Wicklow, and the local TD was a man called Johnny Fox. He was a Fianna Fáil and then independent TD. He died very young, and by all accounts, he was a fantastic community man. But he was a farmer as well, and when he died, I remember reading an article in the newspaper, a local newspaper, and it recounted this, what's in front of us now. Obviously it's being made up, but he seemingly had painted on the side of his shed, one of the sheds in the farm, do what you can with what you've got where you are. Now, I since found out Johnny didn't claim it was his, seemingly it goes back to Theodore Roosevelt. But for me, it absolutely speaks to why we're meeting today. And it's the call to action, as marketing people would say. We all use our different phrases, but I absolutely think that's the motivating force behind Greenify. The climate change, as we all know, is the most urgent and the most critical challenge facing humanity today. Just this week, the United Nations emissions gap report is just the most recent in a constant barrage of reports that are screaming out at us, really screaming out at us to wake up and take action. Now, as you know from the invite, and as you probably heard from Helen earlier on, though unfortunately I wasn't in to hear that part, you know the panel of speakers we have, we have industry and environmental experts. So I'm a credit union person. I'll say no more on the climate issues, and I will leave that to the people who are qualified to speak about it. But other than to say, from a credit union point of view, if we're to ask ourselves, what can we do with what we've got where we are, then Greenify has to be part of the answer. So moving on to the project, I suppose, really. In the early days, over 12 months ago, the working group, and we were trying to, because there are other templates out there, other providers, other schemes of credit union, green finance, and within Cultivate, this small group who became Greenify, were looking at our own, at doing our own green loan. And really these are the 3 key principles on which we hang it and on which we hang everything. So keep it simple, keep it local, keep it real, authentic, genuine. So keep it simple. That's really one of the key learnings from the success of the Cultivate Farm Loan product. And I've mentioned Cultivate a few times. All the participating credit unions in Greenify already offer the Cultivate Farm Loan product. And from the beginning, it has focused on keeping things simple. And it's one of the key reasons for its success. It also was one of the key requirements of credit union CEOs when we consulted with them earlier this year. and we were doing, engagements around what would our green home loan product look like. Resoundingly, they roared at us to keep it simple. The second principle, keep it local, that is a watchword for everything that credit unions do, and so it should. So what that means for us is that we're not partnering with any national energy company or energy agency. We're not partnering with a national retrofit specialist contractor or any other such national partnership. Our approach is and this is what distinguishes Greenify. Our approach is to keep it local. We want, and our objective is that every green home improvement works that is undertaken with a credit union loan would ideally be spent in that locality, and that the work would be done by local tradespeople, local engineers, local specialists. And the third one, keep it real, authentic, genuine, pick whichever word you want. That's another key requirement, or so it should be for everything that credit unions do. And I'm kind of conscious sometimes that can sound a little bit preachy or maybe a little bit glib as a kind of an advertising thing, but we've got to remember that we're credit unions. So that has to be a core fundamental feature of any offering from a credit union, because if it's not, then we're not being true to what a credit union is. We're self-help financial cooperatives whose mandate is to play our part in the social and economic betterment of our members and our communities. And that's our mandate. That's written in our rule book, that's written in our operating principles. So that should be the stamp on anything we do as credit unions. So those are our key principles. If we move on to what Greenify is itself, it's easily told because we said we keep it simple. So it is green finance for a green home improvement purpose. So for the moment, at this phase of the project, it doesn't apply to business related works. It doesn't apply to electric cars or anything of that nature. It is specifically for home improvement works. It's for an amount from 10,000 to 50,000 euros. It's for a duration up to 10 years. And the interest rate is 6.5% or 6.7% APR. The only comment I'd make about that is that the interest rate is very likely, almost definitely, the lowest rate being charged by any of the participating credit unions for any loan they offer, with the exception of mortgages, obviously, if the credit union is offering mortgages. So moving on to be somewhat more specific, and you can see it there, it's a loan to fund any energy efficiency or energy reduction project that results in an improvement in the building energy rating, the BER, of the home. And there's no need for me to read through them. We can see them there. It's those and anything else that enhances, improves the energy efficiency of the home. So that's the on that side of it. Moving on to, and you can see down the bottom right hand side, the keep it local. So moving on to that theme, I suppose, of keep it local. The Stakeholder Platform. Again, building on the success of Cultivate, the Stakeholder Platform was a key ingredient both in the initiation of Cultivate and in the success since then of the Cultivate farm loan product within the up to 40 credit unions now who offer it. So every credit union who offers Cultivate, and now every credit union who offers Greenify, is actively engaging with the relevant stakeholders. And again, there's no need for me to read them out. You can see them there, from the professionals in terms of engineers, our assessors, through the tradespeople, all there, obviously builders, electricians, plumbers, down into suppliers, community energy groups, housing bodies, public representatives, and also into the school sector, because we have an educational role to play as well. Lots of, all 8 credit unions who are participating have already engaged actively with many of the stakeholders within their areas. Many of those stakeholders are at this meeting now, and welcome to them. But today is just the beginning. We will be developing those relationships with them to see, it's a two-way process. We want to learn from them and obviously see what we can bring to the Stakeholder Platform and to their businesses. So moving on to to keep it real and authentic, a key feature of this has been the training for credit union loan officers. So our project manager is a man called Brendan Heenan, and some people on this call, a good many people on this call probably know Brendan around this meeting. In his own style and in his own way of doing things, Brendan was out trying quietly and diligently and behind the scenes to put this piece of the jigsaw in place. And thankfully, he came in touch with Colm Tynan, who's one of the panelists here this morning. And Colm is project leader with the Sustainable Energy degree program in Waterford Institute of Technology. So a group of people, Colm and some of his lecturing staff in WIT, and on our side was obviously Brendan, and he was joined by Paul Morgan from Ennis Diamond Credit Union and Kieran Ryan from Burr Credit Union. They put together a bespoke training program, which all the loans officers who are now going to be engaging with members and dealing with members in credit unions, all those loans officers have undertaken the course. And it will be a requirement for any credit unions in future. And obviously we're at phase 1 and we want to grow, but it will be a requirement of any credit union joining us that their loans officers are trained through this course. Moving on, another part of the keeping it real is we all need to look at ourselves, and the credit unions need to look at ourselves. So and you can see there the different ways that some credit unions are doing it. So again, we're individual entities, so we do different things within our areas, but that's just a snapshot of some of the projects that the credit unions who are participating in Greenify are undertaking within their own credit union or within their communities. Again, that's just a start, because this is a challenge to all of us. So, of course, I mean, to have any credibility, we have to up our own game in terms of how green we are and how energy efficient we are ourselves. What's next? Well, today is just the first step. It's the launch, as I said, of the new green home loan product and the green brand. We will be inviting green stakeholders and other credit unions to join us on the journey, because that's what it is. So, well, people can read it there. If you're in the building industry, please contact us. If you're from a credit union who's not within the pilot scheme, please contact Brendan or any one of the 8 credit unions. And if you're a journalist or work in the media, please help us to get the word out there about Greenify. My last very pleasant task is very quickly, just conscious of time, to say a few quick thank yous. And I did have some notes. So, and I suppose in this, I am now speaking in my capacity on behalf of Greenify. There won't be another Greenify as such speaker. So I do want to thank our moderator, Helen Carroll. I want to thank the Minister with responsibility for credit unions, Sean Fleming, and I sincerely, Minister, want to welcome you and to thank you because, obviously to thank you in your capacity as Minister for Credit Unions. I also, and this wasn't at all scripted, I also want to really thank you for your engagement with the credit union sector in the last 6 to 12 months. You engaged with us, you met us in Cultivate. I know you've met all other stakeholders and bodies, and there's an awful lot of us, and that's one of the challenges, and I appreciate that. And it's something that we're working on, but we'll leave that for another day. But for you to join us today and to devote the time that you are devoting in staying with us like this, it's a fantastic vote of confidence, and it's deeply, deeply appreciated. I also want to thank our other speakers, Duncan Stewart, our keynote speaker, who needs no introduction to any of us. Our other expert panelist, that's Ruth Buggy, who I haven't mentioned. Ruth is from the SEAI and is on the panel for the roundtable discussion being moderated by Helen, and Colm Tynan, who I have mentioned. Quickly, just want to mention the credit union people, not by name, in the 8 credit unions who've been involved in this, and Brendan Heenan. The last thank you I want to say, and they actually won't thank me for this, and they probably say that they should be silent, but I really want to thank David Layden, Lachlan Bannon, and the team at IFAC. You shouldn't maybe plug the people in the background, but I'm going to do it. IFAC have been the marketing partners of Cultivate since the summer of 2019. They are working marvels with us. continuously, and they never cease to amaze us. And what they have done for Greenify on the most stringent shoestring budget is just another one of the marvels. So Helen, I'll pass back to you now, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Finbarr. We could